To make your Hausa cocoa flour mix just like the store-bought Hausa cocoa flour, then follow these 13 steps to make your Hausa cocoa flour mix. A very warm welcome to the channel. Now, the first step is to grab the type of millet you would like to use. I am using this gold type because that is easily accessible to me. So feel free to use any type of millet that you want. Now pour it into a bowl, and that takes us to step 2. Step 2 is to pick the stones and any foreign materials present in the millet. You don't want to be consuming stones and odd particles. In step 3, you make sure you wash the millet very well. By so doing, you are making your food hygienically good for consumption. So wash the millet till the water runs clean. So in my case, I washed the millet 2 times. Now, in between these 2 times of washing the millet, I rub it in between my palms. So kindly do that to make sure you have a very clean millet before using it. And now, after the second wash, we move to the next step, which is the soaking part. Soak the millet in water for 3 hours or more, but at most 6 hours should be okay. And so this is 3 hours of soaking the millet. I will give it the last wash and pour the water away. And now, time to blend it. In the blender, add an amount of the millet in, add water, and then cover the blender and blend it for about 1 minute. So at this point, if you're in Ghana, you can use the nika or they say mela, and I can say then you pour it into a bowl and continue with the rest. So now step 6 is the addition of the spices. Use any type of spices appropriate for you. For me, I love to use some cloves, grains of selim, black peppercorn, anise seeds, dry pepper, some calabash, nutmeg, and alligator pepper. And of course, some fresh ginger, but you can use ginger powder. That is also good to go. You add it to the millet, add enough water to it, and then blend it nicely. And oh, I forgot, I added fresh pepper too to it to give it that nice, aroma and the hotness, because the dried pepper normally doesn't come out too hot. Now, when all is done and blended nicely, time to strain it. I first start by straining the liquid through a colander to separate the chaff from the liquid. And whilst we are doing that, let me take this opportunity to say a very big thank you to you, and also a very warm welcome to the channel once again. If today is the first time here, my name is Yummy Cash. Now the next step is to use a cheesecloth to properly separate the chaff from the water. And at this point, it can sometimes be very difficult, but feel free to add more water, which will make it very easy to do the job. So this is my working place, and you can see how messy it is, but no shaking. Let's move on to the next step, which is the third straining. This is actually not important, but if you feel the second straining wasn't good enough, then do the third straining. Step 9 is to put it in the refrigerator or your counter for the food to separate from the water. So at this point, I poured myself some, added cloves and honey and served myself. So this is actually 4 hours of allowing the liquid to settle, and I'm going to carefully pour the water into another bowl. Now this liquid, do not pour it out. I'm going to keep it and then continue with the rest till all the liquid is done on the surface of the main food. You know, the main food is the one that is settled beneath. And now the 10th step is to pour this mixture, that is the main food that we use to make the cocoa, on a tray, and then you spread it evenly. And that takes us to the next step, which is to sun dry it for a couple of days. So you continue with the rest of the liquid that you've kept, and this water, I poured it back into this bowl, cover it and put it in the refrigerator for another 4 days to, you know, properly settle down very well. And that is day 1 of sun drying it, and you can see it is not well dry. I left it, and the 3rd day everything was well dried. As you can see, actually this clip is from last year, but the rest of the video is this year, so we are still in winter. Okay, I decided to make myself a new one because the old batch is finished. Now as you can see, I add everything together and it is now time to blend it. And then the 12th step is to put them in a blender which doesn't have any traces of liquid in. You blend it for a minute. So after blending it, you can choose not to sieve it or do anything to it. It is okay at this point, but for the sake of presentation, you sieve it very nicely. So you can see the leftover. Do not throw it away. You can just add it to water, you know, and then make your Hausa cocoa. Then you continue with the rest till you are done with everything. And this is mine. It is fluffy, nice and powdery. Now that takes us to the last step, which is to dry the flour for the 2nd time. Pour it on a tray, spread it and dry it under the sun for like 2 or 3 days to properly dry. Now let's move on to how to make it. To make it, add the amount you want in a bowl, add little water and mix very well. Then go ahead and pour in a very hot water. Once you're done pouring the water, stir to mix quickly. If the cocoa happens to be very thick, add in more of the hot water, but please be very careful. Mix it again and then cover for some time. Then your Hausa cocoa is ready to be consumed. And you can put the Hausa cocoa flour in an airtight container and use it as and when you want. Add in sugar and serve yourself. I hope you did enjoy this video and learned 1 or 2 things. Thank you so very much for watching this video. Hope to see you around next time for another great recipe. Till then, always remember to do everything in love. And whenever you think food, think yummy cash. Cheers.